Pre-production is seen as not a very fun part of filmmaking. And honestly, I think it's the one thing that keeps our videos from turning out the way that we imagine them. So in this video, I'm gonna break down my entire one-man band pre-production toolkit, the things that I use to plan every single video. We're also gonna welcome this YouTube channel's very first sponsor, Frameset. So thank you, Frameset, for sponsoring this video. And as you can imagine, we'll be talking about them a little bit later. So let's get into it. The first tool in my pre-production toolkit is this notebook, this Midori notebook. Now, it's made in Japan. It is an amazing notebook. It lays flat when you lay it out like this. And I shot a whole project called A Love Letter to My Notebook because I love it so much. And it's honestly something that allows my mind to wander. The hard thing for me is like brainstorming with a device. If I'm taking notes on the device or if I'm typing, it just doesn't seem as fluid. So for whatever reason, I have to have something tactile when I'm actually generating ideas. Hence, this says ideas only. But I think the benefit to this is just when you're on a device, you're gonna have all of these different distractions kind of just like running through your mind. You're gonna have tons of different apps that you could go to and just lots of things pulling at your attention. But when you sit down, you get a pen, you get a notebook, you start just writing, there's something about it, I can't explain it, but ideas just start to flow. In addition to the notebook method, I also find a ton of inspiration through music. So let's say that I wanna make a spec commercial for my favorite coffee machine, my Technivorm Mocha Master. So if I know that I wanna make a video about that, but I haven't seen any references that are inspiring me, then I'll go to my go-to music licensing platform, MusicBed, and I'll look through all of the music that they have on there. I'll start listening to it. They have an app, so I'll literally just like play through it on my drive to work or whatever, different genres and moods and all that, and allow that music to inspire the idea that I've already written down in the notebook. Sometimes this helps me a lot. Sometimes I can start to visualize a whole video just by hearing a song, and then that is able to carry through. So when I've thought about the idea of the video and I start listening to a song, it's just like boom, it clicks, and then that song can carry into the edit and the shoot and everything like that. But sometimes I'm not actually able to do this, or I just don't do it. Like, this is just kind of like a hit or miss. This happens sometimes, but not all the time. But regardless, the next step is actually where the sponsor of this video comes in, Frameset. So I'm not just talking about Frameset because they paid me to. I'm actually talking about Frameset because it is genuinely the tool, the reference tool that I use for every single shoot. There are other platforms out there, but what I love so much about Frameset is they combine the motion kind of GIF aspect of some platforms with the stills of others, and they give you access to commercials, music videos, and films. So I'm able to like get a wide variety of inspiration and references for my projects. And I think that commercial element is super essential because when I'm brainstorming something for a client, getting a still from a movie isn't always the exact thing I'm looking for. Not that stills from movies are bad, but it's not always the exact kind of tone and mood that I'm looking for. Sometimes a Google ad is the perfect representation of what I am looking to shoot for a client of mine. And at a basic level, I just start looking through the frames on Frameset. I'll search things that I see my character doing in the shot. So maybe it's writing notes or working late or any sort of like maybe studying, any sort of action that I can see happening in my story. That's where we get started at a base level. And once I start loading those into a set, then I'll start searching for more nuanced things like feels like Wes Anderson or feels like Arrival. I'll even look for different filming techniques that I want to use. So color contrast, point of view, symmetry, even things down to just highlighting specifically the motion assets in Frameset. And I love that because I can add that to a brief and it just gives so much more context than just a plain still. It shows you what the shot's going to feel like. So a lot of times I'll get some shot ideas from the motion side of Frameset as well. And next I'm gonna download all these frames to be used in the next step of the process. But thank you so much to Frameset for really being my first sponsor on my YouTube channel. I don't take this lightly, and the reason that I partner with Frameset as my first sponsor is because it's genuinely a platform that I use all the time. Like before every single shoot that I do, I run through Frameset and pull references. And so to me, it just makes sense. And if you find yourself like interested in using Frameset, there's a link in the description and you can use code Edward at checkout for 10% off your subscription, which hopefully helps a little bit out because I know we all have plenty of subscriptions that we're paying for. Seriously, thank you to Frameset for sponsoring this video, and let's get into our next step. And now we're gonna go into probably the newest aspect of my process, and that is using Milanote. Now, in the past, I would write up a pitch in some way. If it's for a client, I'd certainly write a treatment. If it's for just me, then I just have like a list of references, or maybe do it in a Notion doc, but I'm actually starting to use Milanote more and more. And what I like about Milanote is just that digital whiteboard aspect. So many people have talked about it, but it is so helpful. I'll load all my stills and references into this Milanote board, and then I start to categorize them based on where they show up in the story. I can even like draw little arrows between the sections of the story so that you have an idea of like what's gonna come next in the story based on the references. As you can see on this board, I actually pulled in some more frames from a Vimeo short, or I guess it's a commercial that I found. It had a lot of the similar vibes that I wanted to go with for this love letter to my notebook video. So that's where some of those frames came from as well. And that's something that I didn't include, but it is something that I keep in mind. Like if I have an idea that just kind of in the back of my mind, and then I see a video that kind of represents what I want to achieve with that idea, I'll tag those together. Usually I have a list of ideas in Notion, so I'll just link that reference video to the idea, so when I come back to it later, like I can remember back to what I was thinking through when I wrote the idea down. I like to use Milanote and kind of arrange my story that way. This also allows me to link whatever song that I want to use for the video if I'm that far, like if I've done that process already. And I can write out a shot list or a script if I need to. And then I can load this Milanote board onto an iPad and take that iPad around on the shoot. Some people would say that having references as your shot list on a shoot isn't very authentic, or it's going to discourage you to think of original ideas, but it's not super different than actually having a storyboard. But on that note of a storyboard, a little bonus tip that I've discovered, because I'm not a good artist, and if you find yourself like me, not a good artist when it comes to like drawing out storyboards, you can actually take the reference frames that you have already found, probably in Frameset or whatever platform you want to use, and you can load them into the AI photo generating platform of your choice, and then have it sketch those actual frames in a storyboard format. And it's honestly so helpful to my process, especially if I don't want my client to get mixed up on what it is that we're shooting. Like if I just want to show them the composition we're going for, I can use this tool, and it's crazy helpful. And because I can't draw, it still allows me to get good storyboards for my film. If you're not going to do anything else in this process before your shoot, I think you should at least still pull references. There's an example where I went out and shot this grilling video for a client. I found out about the shoot like a day earlier, and I just had to pull a couple references because I didn't have time to do any more pre-production. So that's what I did. I went on Frameset, pulled some references, and that allowed me and the director to have a clear vision going into the shoot. It didn't give us all the details that we needed to shoot. It didn't line out the whole production. When we went into the shoot, we both knew what we were looking for. That is the magic of references, and the magic of references in your pre-production workflow. Because when you have something in your mind, if you don't actually visualize that out in the real world, then anybody else working with you or anyone you're working for isn't going to have a clear picture of what you're imagining, no matter how good you can describe it. So by pulling references, you're actually able to get your like imaginary images out onto some sort of pitch and show any people that you're collaborating with what it is that you're imagining for the shoot. So hopefully in this video, you've gotten a better understanding of how important pre-production can be. And if any of these tools have been beneficial to you, they will all be linked in the description. And again, thank you to Frameset for sponsoring this video.